and welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shrikant, joining you live from India's startup capital, Bengaluru.
I'm Krishna Kumar, coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. We do, as usual, have a power-packed 20 minutes lined up for you. First up, a check on all that's making headlines over here. The Nexus Venture Partners is confident that the Indian marketplaces have enough differentiation that can help counter the onslaught of Amazon and Alibaba. Managing Director Jishnu Bhattacharjee also tells ET Now that they have started increasing their focus on healthcare startups over the last year. Education tech is clearly turning out to be the flavor of the season, and Toppr is looking to launch products for students between 5th and 7th grade. A chat coming up with co-founder Zishaan Hayath on their growth prospects and what differentiates them from the heavily funded Byju's. The Dell EMC mega merger will not result in job cuts for employees in India. That's the word coming in from EMC's Senior VP for Asia Pacific, David Webster. Webster also says the merged entity will step up focus on India. Now, Israel as a country makes constant headlines for the conflict with Palestine, but did you know it's also a fascinating country with a vibrant startup ecosystem? We get you a peek into what makes Israel a startup hub and what India can learn from it. Straight up, the big story that we're tracking over here, Chandra, the battle for supremacy among India's e-commerce biggies is going to get more intense as a Bank of America ML report expects Amazon to overtake Snapdeal to become the #2 player in the market by the year 2019. Now, the note from BOFA ML also further says that Amazon has a strong potential to be #1, with India becoming its second largest market outside of the United States of America. Lack of innovation and funding could work in Amazon's favor very soon, is also the word coming in as far as the note is concerned. Chandra, we do live in interesting times as far as e-commerce in India is concerned, from the boom to the uncertainty to the latest I read was that the Bansals of Flipkart are not billionaires anymore simply because of the markdowns at the valuations over the valuations that have happened.
Krishna, I guess we should remember that, they were paper billionaires to begin with, so markup, markdown, nobody's really cashing out for now, so, they are billionaires on paper or not billionaires on paper. But coming to this report, certainly some interesting stuff there. But if you remember, Snapdeal, according to at least some channel checks, has already lost its position to Amazon in terms of monthly sales numbers. In fact, there are reports that Amazon has even gone past Flipkart in terms of monthly sales numbers in the last 2 months. But the BOFA ML report says that Amazon will overtake Snapdeal to become the de facto #2 player in the Indian market by 2019. That's the timeline that they've given. And in terms of GMV market share, they expected to touch nearly 37% compared to the 21% that Amazon had in 2015. Now, they've really put this down to, the investments that Amazon has steadily been making in improving its brand infrastructure, also steadily penetrating the tier 2, tier 3 cities. I guess the advantage that Amazon really has here is, this is strategic capital coming from their headquarters, with Jeff Bezos really writing a big check for India. They don't have to keep going back to investors for series of funding rounds. So, the management that way doesn't have that distraction to deal with. But certainly, I guess Flipkart will have to watch out for Amazon, because the report clearly says that, without proper innovation, funding, very, very clear chance of Amazon overtaking Flipkart as well and becoming the biggest market outside the US. So, Jeff Bezos, after losing out in China, will certainly not want to lose in India. So, that's why he's really pumping big amount of money here, Krishna.
Chandra, also now that makes the Amazon playbook a very sacred text as far as Indian e-commerce across the world is concerned, because that playbook clearly works even across continents. But moving on here, Nexus Venture Partners, which counts Snapdeal, ShopClues and housing among its portfolio companies, is confident that Indian marketplaces have enough differentiation that can help counter the onslaught of Amazon and Alibaba. Nexus's managing director Jishnu Bhattacharjee also told ET Now's Chandra Shrikant that Nexus has started increasing its focus on healthcare startups over the last year or so. Take a look.
At Nexus, we want to be the first institutional investor in a company. So primarily we do Series A, sometimes we also do seed, and occasionally we do Series Bs. So for us, the pace of investment hasn't been that different. Now, of course, what has happened over the last 2-3 years, I would say follow-on rounds in India were comparatively easier than it is today. And, a lot of kind of, you might call it rationalization, you might call it asking the right questions. Investors have started really analyzing and assessing the opportunities in the lens in which any business should be looked at.
Consumer internet, you have a couple of big names there,
Sure.
both unicorns, Snapdeal and ShopClues. Again, it's a difficult market now with Amazon. ShopClues at least is in a very different space, so to speak, unstructured goods. But for a company like Snapdeal, what can be the differentiator in such a phase?
Yeah, I think first of all, I would like to emphasize that, look, Amazon is playing in a very different lens, and credit to Jeff Bezos. I mean, he has identified India, and he will do whatever it needs to do. And they have huge capital backing doing that. They have great technology, and they're offering, fantastic experience. They have taken their time to come up with. So they will do what they're doing. What I would say that, for any startup, the approach should not be like, Amazon is spending $1 billion. Okay, I have to spend 1.5 billion to catapult Amazon or go over Amazon. The idea is really asking ourselves what we stand for. As you said that ShopClues has taken one approach. Snapdeal is also doing a lot of things. Many of the things are not like not at a point that I will be able to share here in this forum. But the question really is that every entrepreneur, good entrepreneur are asking what we stand for, what consumers are looking for from us, and doubling down on that.
Everybody is talking about the imminent entry of Alibaba. Nobody knows for sure in what form and what shape. It keeps changing every week. But how will that really shake up things? And will India be a winner-takes-all market as far as internet is concerned? Or, is there room for, say, 2 players, 3? Or is it ultimately going to be an Amazon versus Alibaba battle?
So, that's, again, all great questions. We are all kind of learning as things are playing out. I mean, from afar, what I can say is that, I think Alibaba has spotted India as a key market. Now, whether they will do it themselves, whether they will acquire companies, Jack Ma is one of the smartest persons alive, and he will make his smart move, and we'll all see what they're doing. To your question of how many players would remain, if you look at, of course, I think there is always kind of when a market is being shaped, there is always a dominant player which kind of creates the market. Alibaba has done it in China, Amazon has done it in US, but still in the grand scheme of things, you have a lot of other players. The sizes might vary, but it's a huge market. I mean, today, of course, we are talking about probably, 10 billion or less market size. Very soon, it can be argued in India, it is going to be tens of billions, if not 100 billion plus, whatever that time frame is. So it's a huge market. There are the market can be sliced and diced in many different ways. There is room for more than one player to come in. I mean, if you look at US, there has been actually a lot of players. Yes, right. Granted, Amazon has been the granddaddy, but there are actually a lot of players coming in, and Amazon's market share in online is probably, I don't know, 20-30%. I mean, I haven't done that, but there are a lot of other players who have existed in US. Likewise in China also. Right. There are very big players coming in and taking steps. I mean, Alibaba is the granddaddy, but there are other players. So again, we are such an infancy. Sometimes we forget in India that we are growing massively, but we are still very, very small.
Right.
So over the next decade, I think a lot of things will become clearer.
Nexus at least is still hopeful of its investments in Snapdeal and ShopClues paying off, Krishna, but we really have to wait and see if this is ultimately going to be an Amazon versus Alibaba battle as far as India is concerned. But moving on, Edtech is clearly the flavor of the season. If you look at what Baiju's managed to raise from the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation. But we have another Edtech player on the show today, and we're talking about Toppr, founded by Zishaan Hayath. Rahul Dayama caught up with him to really ask him about what differentiates Toppr in this rather crowded space, and how he plans to compete with Baiju going forward. Now, you remember Zishaan Hayath is also an angel investor, a prominent one in his own right, but let's listen into what he had to say.
I would tell students to work for at least 3 years before they start up. I think that gives you a lot of perspective around what a company is before you start to build one. So I think working in a high growth startup or a large company is essential to understand the workings of a company before you actually start to build out one. So companies are not just about ideas and technology and code, but they're also about people, finance, markets, business models, revenue, everything. So I think a few years of working is going to help students a lot.
All right. No, also a few questions on Toppr.com. Talk to us about the traction that you've seen in terms of active users, and what's the sort of a milestone that you're aiming for the year to come?
So Toppr is a learning platform for 8th standard to 12th standard students. We cover all boards, CBSE, ICSE. We cover most exams, competitive exams, JEE, PMT, NEET. So we have over 1 million students on our platform right now. They're spending upwards of 45 minutes on a daily basis. It helps them, recap their classroom work and also improve their performance. And it is personalized, so students who are fast can actually pace through their coursework quickly. Students who need more help can spend as much time as they want. So overall, I think this is a big plus for students to get a personalized learning platform that can help in their exams.
You've made a few acquisitions in the space. So is that the strategy that will continue now as well, or you would now focus on organic growth strategy?
So we have a fairly decent team in place. Those two teams that we acquired in the previous year, very similar DNAs, exactly same market, slightly different approaches to products. So there was a lot of overlap between what they were doing and what we were doing. We are always open. We are not actively looking for acquisitions or hiring through acquisitions, but it happens when it happens.
Right. Any new segments or product innovation that you're working on? Would you continue to focus on students between 8th and 12th standard, or would you really look at a larger pie of the education system?
So we've been working on building this platform from 5th standard onwards. So we will be launching 5th, 6th and 7th very soon, hopefully another 6 months. So that will make our product relevant for 5th standard students to 12th standard students. I think we've made the platform deep enough so you can learn, you can practice, you can ask doubts, and you can take test series. We will continue to build these features even deeper so that students are engaged more. We can exactly figure out small needs and are able to cater to those needs.
Away from that and on to the big merger in the tech space, the Dell EMC mega merger, which will not result in job cuts for employees in India. That is the word coming in from EMC's Senior Vice President for Asia Pacific region, David Webster. Now, in a conversation with ET Now's Rahul Dayama again, Webster also said that the merged entity will step up its focus on the Indian market. Listen in.
If we look ahead at our agenda in India is to bring two companies together for the good of our customers and our partner ecosystem. So we see a really strong focus on growth in India, expanding our footprint with our partner ecosystem and doing a really good job of bringing our partners on a new journey. So no, it's all about, it's a growth agenda. We see way more synergies in the combination and helping our customers be successful.
It's indeed exciting times, a big mega merger really in the works, and you've closed it very recently. Tell us, India is clearly a significant market for both Dell and EMC, but with this merger in place now, what about India? What really changes for the Indian market?
Very exciting times to be here in Bangalore and in India. And I think the challenge for customers in India and right around the world is, how do you choose a partner to help transform IT, transform the workplace and transform security? And we think that the combination of Dell and EMC coming together gives that portfolio capability to our customers now and will enable them to really go on a digital journey very positively.
All right. So will India continue to be one of the top markets even post the merger, that is?
India continues, has been and will be for the future a very important strategic marketplace for us. If we think about India as a marketplace, over 1 billion people, massive geography, lots of brain power, and people who really are consuming information, digital information, and want to use that in their personal lives and their work lives. So as a marketplace, very, very important. We have a huge investment here on both the Dell side and the EMC side, where we're really utilising India's brainpower to develop the best products and technologies in the world, help our customers be really successful. So super strategic market, super important market, and a really exciting market for our future.
In terms of engagement with startups, Dell has been engaging with startups here, EMC as well. So how does it change for the startup ecosystem here with the two powerhouses really coming together?
Well, I think the startup ecosystem here, I think, is pretty excited. When we came together and we announced the merger in October 2015, over the last 9 months, we've been surveying our customers right across the world as to what they think about the merger. And overwhelmingly, over 85% of those customers, and they're large customers, medium customers, startup customers, they're all super excited because they want less IT vendors to work with, they want more scale, and they want flexibility and agility. And by being a private company now, we can operate at scale but operate really quickly. And we think that that's going to bring a competitive advantage to startups in India.
Heartening to hear, Krishna. No layoffs, at least for now, but I guess we'll have to keep a close eye on that because you never know how mergers like this work out going forward. But coming to the final story of our show today, and it is a special story. We've heard so much about how Israel's become a huge startup hub, setting off a lot of excitement among players here in the ecosystem. Today we give you a sneak peek into the culture that's really contributed to this ecosystem. Here's a look at the special story.
Each door here gives you a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of Israelis, and let me really help you demystify Israel as a country as I take you through some of the doors. Firstly, it's this door that we'll stop by and see what really comes. Wow. So I believe this gives you a sense of a refrigerator in an Israeli household and what really, what do people really store. Let's see what's next. This is an Israeli family having a meal and how they go about it. There's of course a prayer. Let's see where the next door leads to. Clearly, every area of an Israeli life is being showcased here. I'd be curious to open this red door and see where it leads us to. Wow, so this is really the door that gives you a sneak peek into the music scene, the party scene at Israel. And wow, okay. So let's see. This is how wedding dance and weddings go here hand in hand in India also. This is really the sneak peek into a wedding at Israel. Let's see where this leads us to. Oh, so you also get to play with your friends there in Israel. I must tell you, this is very, very impressive. I think I should try my hand and see how this works. Clearly, each door giving you an interesting facet of life in Israel, but they've gone to over 8 countries. They only stop by and have this event at one city in a particular country. So India, we Bengalurians are lucky. This time the next stop we understand is Singapore, where they head. But clearly my view about Israel has changed. Seems like a very exciting city, and probably we should go there and cover the startup ecosystem sometime in Israel.
Chandra, I think there is something in the hummus that you get from Israel that that makes a technology boom over there. It is meant to give you a lot of energy, and it's such a healthy food, but it also healthy for technology and startups. Very intriguing to see Israel making a pitch, and they are taking this as a tour. And Bengaluru was just one of the stops. And as Rahul was mentioning, it's Singapore up next. I've been hearing a lot about Israel and not just the technology, but their efforts to improve tourism to Israel as well. So from now on, maybe we can stop just ordering in Israeli food and maybe once take a trip down there to check out what it actually is like. But Chandra, with that,
and maybe you can do a Startup Central episode from Israel, Krishna.
I have absolutely no issues. We'll just speak to Sandeep Gurumurthy and figure this out. But in the meanwhile, Chandra, it's time for the number crunching time. There's for a reason. I think I'll be taking the number crunching. The number we're crunching today is 48. That's because it is the 48th Engineers Day celebrations across the internet, because today marks the birthday of Bharat Ratna Sir M. Visvesvaraya, who was a civil engineer by profession and a great mentor to many who are under his tutelage. Now, as a tribute to him, engineers all across the nation are celebrating Engineers Day that falls every year on the 15th of September. Two things, Chandra. If it wasn't for engineers, especially technology engineers, there is no startups. There's none of the stuff that we discuss here on the show. It's absolutely crucial that we also here at Startup Central celebrate Engineers Day. And secondly, this is a shout out to all my friends who I grew up with in Chennai. All of them engineers. Here's to you guys.
Oh yes, Krishna, I mean, you can roast them, you can troll them, but without engineers, we would live in a world that's extremely inconvenient, chaotic, and not to say very boring. So hats off to all the innovation that comes from engineers.
And hats off to all the sleepless nights and all the 4 years of engineering college plus 2 MS in the US or elsewhere. All of them, I'm hoping it pays off for every single engineer watching this. And with that, we need to wrap things up here on this edition of ET Now Startup Central. But don't go anywhere, keep it with ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.